When someone mentions the phrase pole fishing, myself and I'm sure many others think of a good quality pole needs to be hundreds or thousands of pounds. Well, pole fishing doesn't need to be expensive as it first sounds, especially if you're looking for a quick fix like I am today. In recent years, you needed to spend quite a lot of money to get a decent pole for carp fishing. With the advanced technology and the new materials now available, strong and reliable pre-elasticated poles like this 5 metre one I've got here is available for under £60. And the 3 and 4 metre are even cheaper, which is a great value for money. Pole fishing has been made even easier. You don't need to tie your own pole rigs or hook clamps as they come pre-tied. It's a case of grab and go. To attach a pole rig onto these poles, all you have to do is open the connector at the top, slot the loop of the pole rig inside and close it back up. This will secure the pole rig in place. Unravel the rig off of the pole winder and then pop the hook into the pole hookup, which is supplied on the top kit already. This will just save your rig from tangling when the top kit's not being used. So I've just put the plummet on the rig and I'm going to ship out, and I'm going to make sure that my elbow is on the end of the section of the pole, so then I know that I'm going out to the same distance each time. And all I'm going to do is gently lower it down and then wait for the rig to go completely slack. And when it goes completely slack, like this, that means the plummet's hit the bottom. So as you can see that the whole of the float, including the stem at the bottom, is popping out the water. So if I was fishing here, I'll be over depth. So I need to come in and just bring that float down, right, and then go back out. So ship out, end of the poles on my elbow, gently lower it down. And I've actually moved the float down too much because the float's completely under the water now. So I just need to bring it back up, half a pole float in length, around about that I reckon. And what I'm looking for is the bottom of the rounded body of the float just to be popping out the water. Now that is perfect. So the reason why I plumbed to the bottom of the body is because with the plummet on, the line is under tension, so it's under a little bit of stretch. So when I take the plummet off, this will just compensate for that stretch in the line. So then my hook bait should be dead accurate on the bottom. Another important part about plumbing up is to plumb up around the area that you've chosen. So for instance, just slightly to the left and slightly to the right, because what you don't want to do is feed on a slope. So then when you feed your bait, it will just roll down the slope and then you won't have any bait over the top of your hook bait. So what I've done is I've picked a marker point which I'm going to ship to each time, and as long as my pole is on the end of my elbow and also in line with that last reed, I know I'm in the same position each time. I've been fishing with the Carp Master poles for a few months now, and the way that they handle every situation is just incredible. You feel completely in control, even during those powerful charges and sudden lunges that carp can make. Even in swims like this, where reeds are either side of me, there's still plenty of reserves of power which is needed in a strong carp pole. It's easy to forget that this pole comes in at under £60. Wow, what an explosive fight. This one took a while to get in, but she finally come in. Let's put her back and get another one. These Red Range Carp Master poles are pre-elasticated with 2.2mm diameter power pool elastic, which is rated 15 to 17 and ideal for targeting carp and F1s. The wheel that assists the elastic from coming out of the side slot helps increase pressure when you're playing big carp close in. I always thought that using a pole would limit your chances of reaching the fish, because as you'd think that all the fish would be in the middle of the lake. But the majority of commercials are packed with fish and you can catch big carp right under your feet or straight down the margins. It's more about being accurate and precise, not about casting to the horizon in the distance. With regards to what I've brought with me today, I've got a pole, a landing net, an unhooking mat, something to sit on, a bait waiter with some bait in, and a bag with a few bits of tackle inside. It's as simple as that. Another good idea that was shown to me is if you move the pole hook up so the rig's tight against your top kit, but not stretching the elastic out of the pole, as this will stop the elastic from perishing in sunlight. When it comes to commercials, the 3 baits I always have with me are maggots, pellets and corn. Either one of these 3 baits will get you bites on pretty much any commercial that you go to. I prepare my pellets the night before I go. I cover my pellets underwater, and depending on the size of pellets you're using is how long you leave them submerged underwater for. My gramp taught me a simple way of knowing how long to soak your pellets for: 2 mils for 2 minutes and 4 mils for 4 minutes. When the pellets are ready, I'll pour the water out of the bait tub and then pop the pellets, which are sat in the strainer, back into the bait tub and pop the lid back on. By the morning you'll have lovely pellets which will bind together with a gentle squeeze, perfect for fishing. It's so they don't jump out your pole pot when you're shipping in and out with a pole. This is because they're damp and they hold together. If the pellets are dry, there's a really good chance of them bouncing out of the pot and scattering across your peg as you're shipping out. It's a nice way of keeping everything as tidy as possible. Also, you want to keep your bait all in one zone and not scattered all around the place, otherwise carp will be here, there and everywhere and foul hooking will be a nightmare. One of the first things to think about when you're choosing a swim is features. Look out for snags, overhanging trees or reeds like we got today. This is where fish can feel safe and tuck themselves away out of any pressure from anglers. Another reason why I've sat in this swim is because I've got reeds to the left and to the right of me, which gives me multiple options throughout the day. One of the big advantages with fishing with a pole is how accurate you can be with feeding and putting the bait right over the top of where you've just fed. You can literally tip that small little parcel of bait right over the top of your float, which will create a nice little trap on the bottom of the lake. And because you can feed so accurately, you don't need to feed a lot of bait at all. Just a small pinch of bait is usually enough to get you a bite. It's important to have your pole pot close to the end of the pole as possible. When potting bait in, the spread is probably no bigger than a dinner plate on the bottom. This means when a carp comes into your swim and starts feeding on that little parcel of bait, your hook bait should be right in the middle, meaning you have got a very good chance of hooking a fish. If I was to throw the bait out by hand, this could scatter all over the place, and by the time it gets to the bottom, it could be over the size of a dinner table. This means it could take a while to get a bite, as the fish are preoccupied on bait all over your peg instead of concentrating that bait into one little area. When that float finally goes under, it's a case of a steady lift to set that hook. Although sometimes I can get a little bit excited and strike too hard, and the rig flies out the water and can tangle. Some bites can be extremely positive and can pull the pole out your hands. Sometimes bites can be really shy, and a small little indication, a sharp little movement on your float can also be a bite. Another bite to look out for isn't as obvious as you may think. It's when the float starts to rise out the water, caused by the fish picking up your bait and travelling up in the water. Playing fish on these short poles are great fun. You can really feel the explosive power when you first hook that fish and it shoots out of your swim. Remember to take your time when playing these fish and enjoy every moment, as this is one of the big reasons why we go fishing.